ठीक है. Hello everyone. So today we are going to see what is wireless security. So before talking about security, what do you understand by this term wireless? Because right now in today we are using a lot of devices, a lot of endpoint devices, you can say, that are actually wireless. So anyone can quickly type in the chat box like which wireless devices you are aware about. Any wireless devices, simply name them so that we can know how many of you are really into the advanced technology and you are aware about some of the wireless tools, devices. Router, okay, that is self is a wireless device. Other than router, yes, Alexa itself is wireless, but it's more about talking about your IoT. Mouse, yes, we do have wireless mouses, cell phones, TV, remotes, exactly. So anyone can just quickly give me an answer that why we need to learn this wireless devices, protocols, and why there is an invent to develop security for these wireless devices. What could be the harm if there is no security for these wireless devices? Because it's wireless, so there should be no chances of getting hacked for these wireless devices now, because no one is accessing it physically. You can answer in the chat box that is there really a need of having the security or high level encryptions for these wireless devices or not. Yes, that's one of the reason, Bhavan. But when we are talking about wireless, we are pretty much sure that the devices, or you can say the cell phones, mouse, everything is controlled by you. No one else is controlling. But some of the time, you are familiar that everything, whether it's wireless or wired, is connected with the internet. So there are high chances there could be some wireless attacks. If you name them, there are n number of attacks. Some are anonymous attacks, some, and because of this your data could lead to a heavy misusage. So that's the reason the wireless security is been invented. So wireless security, if you can simply define it in one sentence, it is nothing more than getting a protection, or you can say creating a high level of encryption to protect your devices, or even better we can say to protect your data from getting access to the unauthorized person, because whenever you are trying to give a biometric lock to your smartphones, to your smart home setups, at that time there is high chances that your biometric could get steal. So yes, that's the even much more craziest part in the hacking world, that your biometric can also be easily get hacked. So you have to be very much sure that how you are using your biometric log, your password should be secure, and you should be smart enough not to share any kind of credentials to anyone else rather than you. So, if you can see my screen, the definition itself says wireless security refers to the measures and protocols implemented to protect. But what you are protecting by using certain kind of measures or protocols is that you are trying to secure these wireless networks, devices, and most importantly, data. So, what eventually is helping to the person, like to the individual or organization, to check that there is no certain anonymous person or the guest entry within the network, and there will be no modification or data tampering via this internet source or from the wireless devices. So to prevent, you can say, to neglect this malicious entry or getting your device or data tampered, we are going for this wireless security. Now, how this wireless security actually talking a lot about your security, that no one, or you can say the unauthorized person should not have access over there. So it's controlling, or you can say it's form on the very famous triad. Whenever you are going to any of your favorite browsers and you are searching for the element of cybersecurity or element of security, you will be seeing the most famous triad, that is CIA. But when we are talking about wireless and IoT security, it's just not CIA, it's more than CIA. So at that time we are having this five elements that is in front of you, that is CIAAN. Now you guys might think that okay, CIA is something that we are almost aware about it, but what is this new two term, that is A and N? So have you ever heard about this CIA trade or this five elements of cybersecurity? And could you just write down in the chat box that what is the full form of this CIAAN? Because this term is not only useful for the wireless, but this trade is going to talk about a lot, like in the case of security purpose. So just simply write this full form of CIAN. Okay, Anand Kumar is saying he is aware about this term. Rahul Kumar, video is working. I have just changed the slide just to ask you guys that if you are aware about this term, just write down that full form, or if you are aware about this term. Hello, hello. Am I audible to you guys? Okay, thank you. It's working. So, if you guys can hear me, simply just write in the chat box that what is CIA or its full form, anything about the triad. Okay, so Anand Kumar is writing all the five elements of cybersecurity, and Lakshmi itself written the CIA trait. Okay, now let's talk about this triad. So, this is one of the primary goals with respect to your security. So, I'm not talking with respect to wireless, IoT, or for cyber, but whenever we are concerned about the security in the domain of the cyber world, or you can say in the domain of the internet world, we should be very much precise and clear about these five elements of the security. That is nothing but CIAAN. So, let's talk about a bit what is this. So, C stands for confidentiality, just as you said, but confidentiality means that the data which is carrying certain sensitive information, whether it's about the individual, about the organizations, about any sort of data, but it is that sensitive that only the person who is having the access, or the most high person or the admin person, if they are only having the access, they can use this data, but except them, any person who is not having the privilege or unauthorized person should not be accessible to use this data. So that's where your confidentiality remains. So confidentiality talks about the data should be always used by the authorized user, not by the non-authorized user. So for this you can take an example like in your colleges or even in your offices, whenever you are going for the entry, there is nowadays having a biometric scan. So one if you are going for the biometric scan, like whether from your fingerprint, your face ID, or even your ID holder, so based on that you are getting the entry. So the person who is authorized, that person only able to unlock the door and get the access to that particular room. So just like this your confidentiality is talking. Now we have the second and the most important thing in this overall element of cybersecurity is integrity. That's matter a lot, because your data, because as we say in this internet world or informational warfare, the most important thing is the information, the data, that should not be get tampered, steal, or any kind of modifications, updation should be done without the permission of the owner. So integrity talks about the data, that data is not altered, there is no misconfiguration in the data, no any kind of modification has been done, especially by the unauthorized person. So that is where your integrity takes place. So whenever you are transferring any kind of file from the SMTP, FTP, or by using SNMP, or also you can say whenever you are transferring data from remote places, so there might be chances that data could get easily steal, or data can be get into the third person, which is not very good for us. So for maintaining that data integrity, there are some cryptography mechanism the organizations are using to maintain the integrity of your data. Now let's talk about availability. So whenever we are talking about something that is available, so it's 100% sure that that particular site, that particular person, or that particular work which you are going to do should be available right now. Because if the data or if the resource is not available for you, then what's the purpose of having that particular data? So majority of the time you can see we are facing, not right now, but earlier we were facing the error that 403 bad request error, you cannot fetch the page. So if you are aware about some cheat sheets where it's talk about the status of the page code, so in that 403 is not something that is you are not able to get the data, but it says that someone is somewhere trying to make that page unavailable right now, whether it's internal testing or whether someone is trying to target that organization. Someone is trying to target the organization. So at that time it might be happen that data is not available. Now we are rest with the two topics, authentication and non-repetition. Rahul Kumar, it might be clear with you, but there are some people that might not knowing what is this 5 elements. So I have to complete it. So it will take 1 minute to complete because we are rest with the two topic itself. So the fourth one we are having is authentication. So authentication is nothing. Authentication and non-repetition are the two terms which is not talking about the data. First of all, it's talking about the person, because whenever we are concerned about the data, that data should not be handled by the unauthorized person. At that time the person who is using that data should also be verified. Exactly, because then and there only we can have a proper investigation if sometimes the attacker is trying to have access over your data or access over the network. So authentication is about verifying the person identity, that who is trying to use the data, whether the person is authorized or not. And lastly, the non-repetition, the one of the good example for this is digital signature, where you cannot deny once you have signed any kind of form, whether it's consent form, whether it's your bank details, you cannot deny in a digital signature, because it is intended, or you can say it has been made up like that digital signature cannot be stealed easily. So that's the reason you can say a non-repetition talks about where user cannot deny their action or their transactions. Or the second example for the non-repetition you can say is your payments. While you are transferring the online payment to your friend, sibling or anyone, at that time if they are denying that you have not paid that amount to the person, you can have one of the best history that in your digital payment you can check that yes, you have successfully given the payment to them. So that's one of the case for the non-repetition. So I hope you guys are clear about So I hope now you guys are clear about the 5 elements of the cybersecurity, or either you can say the wireless security. Now we have some common problems that stand with this wireless security. That is your eavesdropping, man in the middle, raw access point. Now eavesdropping is something that everyone is aware that you can have or the person is trying to listen to your sensitive information by, or you can say the person itself is an unauthorized person, because he or she is not having the access to listen that data or to read that data specifically, you can say. So that's where your eavesdropping come, and this can lead to a heavy impact if someone who is trying to misuse that data. Now the second most aware problem is that man in the middle attack, because in this the attacker is not only listening your data, but he is also trying to modify the data. That is one of your security try, that is integrity. Your data is being integrated, or you can say your data is being tampered, and neither the client or neither the user is aware whether the data is being modified. So that's where man in the middle takes a heavy role in the wireless attacks. And if you guys can recall the yesterday's session, in that we have seen whether you are highly secured, but still in the man in the middle attack someone is trying to packet sniffing, or someone is using one of the good tools, they can easily get your sessions and they can easily get your public key. So that is one of the weakest point, that yes, if someone is sniffing over your wireless communication, they can have some sort of communications, or they can modify some sort of data. So that's where your man in the middle attack take place. Now we have ROG access point. So do you guys have ever heard about what is this ROG access point? Anyone is aware about ROG access point? If no, you can simply write it there itself. No. Rahul Kumar, I can show you some tools, but this is basically a boot camp, so it's not possible to show you the exact practical within this 1 hour, because in wireless it's a lot. Like it's your Wi-Fi, it's your Bluetooth, and to capture that data, it sometimes takes a lot of time. So it's not possible within this 1 hour session to demonstrate a practical. It will take at least for the minimum Wi-Fi, or for the minimum Bluetooth also, it will take approximate it, if your data and internet is working fine, it will take like somewhat 120 minutes, not less than that. So it's not possible, but yeah, definitely I am going to show you some of the tools and what is their purposes. But if they are providing, Senseacademy is providing some sort of courses, in that you can definitely go for the practicals, because there are not barrier, there are one-to-one mentor sessions. So guys, anyone over here aware about the ROG access point? What is this ROG? Have you ever heard about this term? What is this ROG? Have you guys ever heard about the rootkit? Okay, so everyone is saying that they are not aware about this term. So okay, so this is not something you can say it's very rocket science, but ROG access points talk about the maintaining access on this wireless devices, and this access will be maintained in such a beautiful way that even one of the best security expert will be not able to have a you can say have a quick check that there is someone still present in the network. So in this ROG access, it's you can say somewhat similar to your rootkit. In this, the attacker is trying to steal the information, but how he is trying to steal the information, if you can say, he is trying to make himself hide or disguise in a beautiful way that no one will able to guess that there is someone having a guest entry, or you can say even the unauthorized entry in any of your router or in your system itself. So that's where your rogue access point take place, and it's one of the dangerous attack, because right now if any attacker is having access in your data, you will not be able to figure out. It's a long term attack, you can say, and one of the kind of a very good example of the backdoor entries. So that's where your rogue access point plays one of the best role from the attacker point of view in the wireless security. So now let's talk about some different problems, and these are the common problems which have been faced by the wireless security. So we are having DOS, or you can say the DDoS attack, weak authentication and encryption vulnerabilities. Now whenever we are talking about DOS or DDoS attack, you have very familiar that it targeting on the servers and the data or the web pages which are being unavailable, that is due to this DOS and DDoS attack. So in that case, or in this such scenarios, what the organizations are doing, they are taking the backup from this primary data to this secondary data, and then we are able to use that particular software or that particular web pages very easily. So that's what your data or the availability goes. So this is one of the major problem that we face every day and every now and then, and the user is not aware that there are some DOS or DDoS attack is going on. So it's very frequent in wireless. Now we have weak authentication. So weak authentication is actually, you can say that, majorly takes place with the user itself, because as a user who is not that much aware about the technology, they will have a very easy password for their wireless. Like if you say a default password, we are having admin, we are having 1234. So this is a very simple password and it's very easy to crack. So that's the heavy need right now in wireless, that you can take 3 steps for this mitigation. That the very first, you have to give a strong password for all your wireless devices, and it should be different for each and every devices. But in the second case, if you are having only all the accounts with your same device, or you can say from the same account, like from Gmail only you are trying to have access on all your social accounts, in that case you should be changing your password in every 3 months, quarterly or yearly basis. That's the one of the good thing you can do. And lastly, you can keep a very strong password like 12 length or 14 or 16 length character. So this is 3 steps that will help you to prevent from this wireless attacks. Now lastly, we are having encryption vulnerabilities. Now anyone could tell me the difference between cryptography and encryption, or is it same? Because we are having the next session on the cryptography and its protocol only. So anyone can just simply tell me the difference between these two terms, or is it same? Hello. Guys, can anyone simply type in the chat box that what is the difference between cryptography and encryption, or is it similar? Uh, okay, if no one is answering, I can continue with this. So encryption is talking about how you can provide one of the best security to maintain the confidentiality of your data, whether it's on wireless devices or it's your IoT devices or it's on your cloud devices. So encryption is making your data more confidential, so only the authorized person could have a data. Any unauthorized person or the guest person, or either you can say the anonymous person, could not get your data. So that's what your encryption take place. But if your encryption is not smart enough, and if you are using some of the common encryptions that like if you are using symmetric encryptions, so in that case it is very easy for the attackers to get access over your data or get access over your network. So that's what your encryption vulnerabilities take place. Now we are having some sort of service. So wireless is having some sort of services, and why the need of these services? Because when you are using this wireless in such a advanced way, it should be a high need that there should be certain kind of services that will help you to protect your data and maintain the integrity of your data. So the very first is we are having WIDS. So IDS and IPS, this is some of the term that I hope you guys have heard about it. IDS is for the detection, intrusion detection system. IPS is intrusion prevention system. So just like this intrusion detection and prevention, we need both this term in wireless as well. Exactly, Saurabh, you are right. Cryptography are the methods and encryption is a process. Yes, you are right. So that is what I am talking. Now let's talk about this wireless services. So this intrusion detection, just the way they are helping the persons or to the network engineers to detect the certain anonymous behavior, you can say, or any kind of suspicious activity, and they are generating certain alerts to help the organizations from dwelling into the heavy data breaches. So just like that, we are using these ideas on our wireless network or on our wireless devices, you can say, in the vast network organizations to prevent from that data breaches. And this will help to give a proper monitoring on this wireless network. And also the important thing that you can have a monitor over the suspicious activities on your wireless network. So this is just the way ideas help you to detect. It's just simply giving you the alert that there is something suspicious activity, someone is trying to have an access over this, or any potential breaches are going to happen. It just simply give you the alert. And just like the IPS, where you can take action on that particular alert, you are using the WIPS, that is wireless intrusion prevention system, and this is actually helping you to act on that particular threat, or to act on that particular, you can say, attack. So that's where you can talk about that unauthorized access, the RAP, that is raw access point, or any kind of security threat. In that you can simply take the prevention methods. Now we are having the authentication services and encryption services. So over here, a lot of people are using right now Wi-Fi routers. So have you ever checked like what kind of services are you using, or your ISP provider from where you are having the one of the best internet services, you can say, that what particular encryption they are using, or which method of authentication they are using, because we are having different types of authentication services for wireless as well. So have you ever heard about different wireless authentication services? You can type your answers in the chat box if you know. You can simply type no as well. No one is going to judge over you. Okay, so you guys don't know. So no worries. So this authentication services are one of the kind of mechanism, you can say, which is helping you to protect your data on this wireless devices. So if you guys at any random point, if you feel so, just simply go on your network and in the Wi-Fi section, check your security or services what you are using. So majority of you will see that you have WPA. Yes, exactly, Anand Gupta, that's what we are using. That is, we are having WPA, and in this WPA we are having WPA2, WPA3, and a lot advancement has been came in this wireless sector as well. So this devices actually help the users and the devices to have a one of the best authentication, or you can say the best encryption services. And the fourth we are having is encryption services. So authentication and encryption are not the same. These are two different terms. The authentication services is a kind of mechanism which is talking about your devices. Okay, it's authenticating the person, whether the person have the right or privilege to use this particular device within this network or not. But when we are talking, and when we are concerned about the encryption services, it's talk about the protocols, or you can say the protection of your data in that network, or while you are transferring that data. It's talk a lot about that. So in this encryption services, there might be chances that someone is eavesdropping and unauthorized access is being happening. So encryption is safeguarding your data on this wireless devices using certain protocols, that is WPA2, WPA3, or WEP. Except this four, we are having some additional, you can say, or some advanced wireless services which has been came nowadays, that is your access control, security policy management, vulnerability assessment, and penetration testing. So now this is one of the important thing to person who is very much interested in VAPT should know, that we are having a different entire slot for vulnerability assessment, for penetration testing. Like you guys are pretty much aware that penetration testing talks about creating a simulation environment based on the real world attacks to check the vulnerabilities, to detect the threats. So that's what you are has a penetration tester, has a vulnerability assessment trying to do on this wireless services as well. So there is a lot of scope on for the VAPT on each and every aspects and domains on the cyber world. And policies are. Yes, Saurav, it's definitely one of the easiest thing that you can find out that what ISP services are using for the encryption of data. You can find out that easily, but for that, before getting in that advance, you have to pretty much aware that how you can check those stuff. So there are steps you can definitely, if you are aware how to use it, you can find out that. But at the next point, the ISP provider are also smart enough, they are also going to know somewhere that someone is trying to check a lot of stuff. So security policies and access control that we are talking is something that varies depend on the organizations or depend on the sector who are using, because it's, if it is a financial sector or it is a health sector, or if you can say it's an industry where the chemical sector, pharma sector or the technology sector, they are having different policies, different access control. So security policy and access control will be different based on the organization and the sector, but vulnerability assessment and penetration testing will be at most same. You can say it will 90 to 95% it will be same, because this is where you are trying to detect the vulnerability, trying to go for penetration testing, trying to find out the weakness, flaws in the system. So this is what your wireless services are talked about. Lastly, we are having different types of wireless security. So earlier over here we have seen we are having common problems and the wireless services. So wireless security is just talking about how you can secure your wireless device or the communication on the wireless network. So the very first what we are having is WPA, that is nothing but your Wi-Fi protected access. So Wi-Fi protected access, majority of the time if you can see, it uses three protocols. Encryption protocol. So that three encryption protocol are nothing but your AES, advanced encryption standard, your PSK, that is pre-shared key, your EAP, that is extensible authentication protocol, and TKIP, that is temporal key integrity protocol. Now anyone could simply answer the question that even though we are using AES as one of the best encryption standard and extensible authentication protocol, why there is a need of key authentication that we are having, that is pre-shared key and temporal key integrity protocol? Why there is a need of authenticating a key on the wireless devices? You can write in the chat box that what's the need of the key exchange in this wireless domain. No worries. So whenever you are using any kind of encryption, and if it's an asymmetric way or whether it's a symmetric encryption, it is talking about keys, whether it's public key, private key, public key. Okay, so this key should be with the client and with the client A and with the client B both. So whenever they are using this encryption, they have to encrypt and decrypt with that particular key that can use to access the data. But what if this key is being modified? This key got steal during this encryption. Exactly, Lakshmi, it increases protection. So that's the need, that you should have the proper authentication or proper encryption on your key as well. So one of the best key exchange algorithm you might have learned or you might be going to learn in future, that is Diffie-Hellman key exchange. So Diffie-Hellman key exchange is one of the best authentication to understand and to and apply or implement on any of this key exchange. Okay, now we are having WPA 2 and 3. Now it's one of the advanced way of protecting your Wi-Fi, and over here the common thing, if you can see, we are using AES, but also why this advancement or the one level advanced version of this Wi-Fi protection is been entered, because that right now people are much more aware about how to use certain kind of tools, and by using that tools they are trying to brute force, they are trying to steal the key, they are trying to have access over the sessions, and that can lead to a heavy drawback to the providers or to the wireless devices. So that's where this encryption has been taken one more level advanced. Now we have one different authentication, that is 802.1x. Now why it's written 1x? Because x is something that is talking about the different versions, but the common standard for the authentication, if you guys will see, it is 802.1x. This is the common technique, you can say, or this is the common authentication which you might going to have in your books, or even though in some of the blogs. And it's talk how you can protect your data, or how you can use certain authentication frameworks on the wireless network to gain access, typically using this particular authentication, and it's one of the best port based network authentication. Now we are having some different authentication or wireless security, that is how you can secure your Mac, how you can secure the VPN, how you can use this Bluetooth end-to-end encryption. So by using this different security on these wireless devices, you can pretty much make sure that your organization are going in a smooth flow of these network enterprises in the wireless domain. So that's a heavy demand, that you should have one of the best MAC address filtering, because if your MAC address is revealed, or it's so easy to spoof your MAC, then your data or your system is in the wrong hand. Because if you guys are aware about the assignments, you are not able to fetch the MAC address, because if you are in the particular network, then only you can able to fetch the MAC address. You cannot able to get anyone else who is in the different geographical location. You cannot get their MAC address that easy. It's not easy to spoof someone MAC address. So there is a need that you should have one of the best protocols for the VPN, because VPN makes one of the good tunnel to create a communication from the remote locations. So this is what you are having, different types of security. And lastly, for today's topic, we are having this common attack. So these are some of the common attacks that I might guess that you will be exploring, that what is this attacks and what harm it can do on your wireless devices. Because crack and evil twin attack is something that has been started a lot in the wireless domain, and it's impacting a lot to the organization or to the individual, you can say. It's one of the hectic attack that people are facing nowadays in place of DOS and packet sniffing. So this is some of the common attacks that you should know in the wireless domain. Now one of the important thing that I would like to talk about in the wireless is that we are having some of the tools that you should know. Guys, attendance link has been shared with you. Kindly fill the attendance. Yeah, I am talking about the tools. So for the tools, you are having Shodan. Shodan.io is one of the best tool that I personally recommend for you. Either you are trying for the wireless, either you are trying for IoT, either you are trying for OT. Any three of this domain, it is one of the best tool. If you are not registering or login, also you will be able to see a lot of stuff. Like right now, if I want to check for the PHP, you can simply get one of the clustered information that in different geographical location, which ports, everything, a detailed information. and that's one of the important thing that you have to deep investigate for some kind of investigation. So that's why I highly recommend this sorry, not PHP, this Shodan tool first. And second that I will recommend you guys is Wiggle.net. So have you guys ever heard about this Wiggle? Shodan how? Rahul, Shodan is something that have every sort of information about the internet, or you can say in simple terms, any devices or any language, any servers which are being used today in any of the geographical location, every data is being fed over here in your Shodan. So that's the reason I am recommending that you can go for Shodan. And second, this Wiggle.net, because okay, you know the tool but you want to know how to use that. For that, you can simply do that. If you are aware about some of, if you want to check for some of the persons, let's take one of the best example, that you know that a particular person is staying in this particular geographical location. So based on that geographical location, like you can go for the latitude and longitude simply, and then you can try for this scan, and based on this location it will provide you with a map that where you want to simply go and check. And if you are going for any specific sector or any specific location, you can get information about their SSID and BSID, and from there you can get their MAC address, even you can say, and that person's exact geographical location. And it is one of the best mapping location that from the satellite point of view or either the 3D point of view we can get. Marvin, you guys want this particular to be in the process. So for that we will require one more session for this, because in this session it will not get completed and I need to deploy a different lab, because as I said earlier, we cannot go and inspect anyone's information. It's totally illegal. So yeah, we can create one sessions for this particular, where you can see this wiggle process and all that. So we can try for that. So any more questions do you guys have? Yes, Rahul Kumar, you can easily access that data. But for that you should have this relevant information, like you should know their latitude, longitude, important thing. Or second thing, you should know their SSID or BSSID. If any of this four, or you can say simply three information, or any one information you are having, you can have their exact geographical location, original location. It's not going to give you any fake location. because for wireless practical we need a adapter, wireless adapter, and one of the best lab setups. Then only we can perform the wireless, and it will take more than 1 hour. It's not possible within this 1 hour slot to complete a wireless practical. Okay, so you are seeing that in BSS ID there is something written in numbers and alphabet, so it's like your MAC address itself. So this BSS ID is your physical address of the wireless device, you can say. So it can help you to fetch the exact location of the person, and it is always unique. And Rahul Kumar, is not BSID, is BSSID. And I'm not sure about BSS ID, but for SSS ID you can check in your Android devices as well. In the Wi-Fi sections, you will be easily seeing that you are having the IP address, and also in that you can see your SSID. So any more questions on this? Not a particular person's system, Rahul Kumar, but it's your wireless address, you can say. It's your wireless internet provider which you are using. It's address of that particular stuff, not your personal device address. Okay, thank you so much, guys. So we are ending the session for today.